Hey everyone, Koen and Bas here with our podcast about the real world application of AI models. And today we're solving a challenge that many companies face, keeping their employees and customers informed without draining in communication administration. And let's face it, regular communication either internally or externally with customers is crucial for alignment and engagement. Sending a newsletter, for example, can be a solution, or keeping your audience up to date on your socials can be a good solution, but it often feels like a full-time job, gathering updates, writing new content, and making it all engaging for your audience. It really adds up. And that's where AI can come in. We'll show you how generative AI specifically can transform your communication workflow, from automatically summarizing interesting updates, crawling the internet, to crafting compelling content, and pushing it into a certain format. To a couple other examples. We'll really dive into something we are using ourselves at the moment. You can also pick it up and try it at your own company. If your job has anything to do with communication, or you want to talk with your customers, or you want to summarize company updates and happenings, I think this is the episode for you. But Koen and me, as founders of our company, have also discussed this topic roughly, I would say. Koen, maybe I can give you the first few minutes to explain what we have done over the last couple months, I think, building this solution, and why we've even considered building something like this with AI. And with this, I mean our automated newsletter robot and social poster robot.
I think it's good to start with the why then, because we are in business for 16 years now. I think we had quite some attempts in maintaining a newsletter flow, but always after a couple of months, we stopped doing so, creating a new newsletter every month or maybe even every week. We tried multiple techniques and tools, but it's always a burden to come up with new content, write articles, and then send a newsletter. And I think you were the one who started with the idea of generating some articles using AI. So that's where the ideas originated. And I think I took it one step further with some more parts of the flow we are about to show. But I think the main reason is that it's always hard for us to make enough time to write articles, create a newsletter, and then send it.
And the quality, I think, was also a part of it, right? Because if you want to do it right, you need to spend a lot of time doing research, gathering updates from everyone in the team, or being up to date on the latest trends and everything.
Yeah.
And of course, we also try to do that in our line of work, but then the making of the newsletter is also a big part of the job. So if you take all the time you need to create the newsletter, it's easily maybe 2 days to create a really good one in the old situation. So we indeed researched a bit of how we could do this with AI, because we create AI applications, but you would say, okay, this is very easy to do. But we also wanted to have a valuable newsletter or social poster automation, so provide valuable content to our audience, and that's not that easy, I would say. So we had to combine multiple techniques to make sure the content we send resonates with our audience. And you can just copy it after this podcast, I think. So I have the workflow on my screen. It was mainly designed by Koen, but I'll start explaining it, how we did it, more or less. I will show this workflow in N8n. one of our favorite low-code tools to automate stuff. And we use this because it already has a couple of great connectors that we need also in this case. And with connectors, I mean integrations with other tools and software that we don't have to build from scratch. So that's always nice because it saves you a lot of time. So yeah, let me put it on the screen, and then I'll do a quick intro, and then together with Koen, I will walk you through it. So you should be able to see the workflow over here. Quite small still. Koen, do you see it all right?
Yes, perfect.
Yeah, so this is our newsletter generator. And as you can see, we have 3 starting points, or actually 1 starting point, which is the scheduler, which is set to trigger every week. Every Tuesday, we're sending this newsletter, and we have 3 different starting points. So one of the first starting points is checking out some websites we really like. That is what we used to do as well when we were reading through the latest trends. We basically check the same websites. We just read the public RSS feeds. And then we have 2 other methods of gathering some content. So we have made our own topic research, and maybe you can elaborate a little bit on that, Koen. We are using Perplexity for that.
Yeah, maybe you can zoom in a bit on this part
Yep.
of the flow then, because it's quite small now. Yeah. So we have a Google spreadsheet where we can enter new topics, which are just a couple of words describing a new technique we found on the internet, for example. And we need to enter a date, because this flow checks for topics in the sheet and then checks if the date was in the last 7 days.
So it's just a simple Google spreadsheet, right? That you can N8n as a standard connector to pull the information from the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
So every week we spend 1 minute filling it with topics, and then those are given to this flow, right?
Yeah, I think it's worth adding that we, as AI specialists, still follow a lot of YouTube channels, newsletters, and other ways of keeping up to date with all the developments. And based on the things we find there, we put these keywords in this topic list. Then N8n gets the latest topic from this list, checks if the date was today or 7 days ago between, and then it uses Perplexity to do research on the topic. And Perplexity is some sort of AI search tool where you can enter these topics, and then it does a search on the internet, searches on multiple sources, and then based on these sources answers the question or gives you information. Well, this is Perplexity. So, for example, if you would say, well, if you let him search for my name, for example, never done this before on Perplexity.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, so it searches on the internet, finds multiple sources, and then answers your question or provides you with more information. And in this flow, we use this step to gather information about this topic. So it's just gathering information. And because we can enter multiple topics for 1 week in a spreadsheet, at the end, the aggregate step is making sure that we combine all these research findings into one output for the next step in the flow. So this part of the newsletter flow is a bit of automated AI research on the internet, with the result of a detailed explanation of a certain topic or answering a question. So maybe we can show the other one.
This one, right?
Because we have another flow. And this flow is about using a existing web page for input in our newsletter. So when, for example, OpenAI announces a new model, they post a blog post on their website describing how it works. Or, for example, Anthropic that announced computer use. We link those articles in the same spreadsheet in a different tab. This flow gets all the URLs from this spreadsheet, again checks for the date, and then does a HTTP request to get the actual content of the website.
Yeah, to browserless, right? And browserless is a scraping tool.
Yeah.
Or an automated browser, as if me or Koen would go to this website and then look at the content. So it's all just research. We don't actually reproduce the content or whatever. We just look at it like we would do on our own.
Yeah.
And then based on it, we make our own content.
Yeah. So based on this browserless output, which is HTML, which is a markup language for developers, we extract the content from it, and we convert it to Markdown. And Markdown is a really simple way of giving content markup or structure. And again, because we can have multiple articles in the spreadsheet, we need to aggregate all these different findings into one output.
Yeah.
And if we
and maybe in the future we want to include more of these sources, right? We're following all kinds of YouTube videos, so I think even here we can connect YouTube as well to our list of research sources.
Yeah.
So automate it more and more, but it could also be our Slack channels, specific channels in our communication software that we monitor. If someone drops some content or link in there, we can save it and have a look at it. And in the case of our customers, it can be any internal source. So it could be a document structure with new and relevant information. It could be a brochure someone send you or whatever. You could have one big folder with everything you want the AI to use, basically, and then use that and let the AI research within that bulk of information what's relevant, just to add to that. But then we go to the next step, and I think,
the actual writing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see 3 blocks of writing, and each block has a large language model linked. I think for this one we're using GPT 4.0, I think. Can you check, Buzz? Is it 4.0? Yeah. Yeah, we're using GPT 4.0 as a large language model. And if you close this one and open one of the basic LLM chains, so if you open this prompt, the prompt is in Dutch. We still need to change it to English. But what we do here is that we create some sort of persona for the large language model, that it is a senior copywriter for 7Lab, experienced in the field of AI. It's provided with input, and this input is gathered from, in this example, from the RSS feed reader. And based on this input, it's asked to write 5 short articles about these RSS feed output, which is then handed to the next step. So the same goes for the premium topic writing. So this is based on the Perplexity research done, and it's then asked to write 1 or multiple articles about the findings from the Perplexity research step. And the last one is about the premium articles. So this is where we post a link in the spreadsheet, and this link is then used for input for this model to write 1 or more articles about the actual topic of the article we shared. Then we need to combine all these different sources. So that's why you have all these merge sections where we combine all the content into one. I think the LinkedIn step is maybe for later. But what we also need to do is to write an introduction and a subject of the newsletter. So we provide all the generated articles by the previous steps to a new large language model with the instructions to write an introduction for the email and to write a topic subject for the email. So we hand in all the different articles written by his AI colleagues, and then ask it to generate an introduction and a subject.
And of course, like all the previous steps were mainly research. And we could use this research, this automated way of doing research for multiple um, end results you want to get. So in this case, we're trying to generate a newsletter, but you could also generate a message on your Microsoft Teams, for instance. And if that's the goal, it's not necessary to write an intro, for example. But it could also be, I don't know, posting an article on your website, or depends a bit on what your use case after this is. So I would say until this point, it's quite a generic kind of AI research tool to pull in relevant content and sources. And then after this, it gets more specialized towards our end game in this case, which is the newsletter stuff, right?
Yeah, because the next section is all about building the actual newsletter in terms of content and code. So here we have some steps in setting up the HTML of the newsletter. And HTML, again, is a markup language for developers, which is mainly used for is used for sending, for example, emails. And we have two types of emails. We have a premium newsletter and a free newsletter. In the free newsletter, we only share the first section of content, so the first step of the flow we explained with the RSS feeds. And the premium newsletter also has the deep dive articles by the research by Perplexity, and also the articles where we get the content from and then write an article about it. And then after the actual content of the newsletter is fixed, we get all the newsletter subscribers from Pipedrive, our CRM system.
Could also be like Microsoft Dynamics or Salesforce or whatever system.
Yeah.
A spreadsheet. Yeah, it doesn't really matter, but it's nice that you can see over here that you can also, you do the research, you prepare your content in the right structure, and you can also segment. You can send different pieces of content to a different audience. We could even say to the AI model, of course, okay, write an individual newsletter for this person. But our newsletter has about 20 to 30,000 respondents. So that would be quite costly. But
expensive exercise. And also slow. If you want to write an introduction for 20,000 people, then it would take a while to send all these newsletters.
Yeah, but the possibilities are there. So I know some of our customers even are in the finance market, and they are really interested in what's happening with companies, for instance. And then I could think of a flow where the AI monitors for maybe a yearly report from that company or some news from a certain company, and do an analysis on what they're saying publicly about the company, and then post to an internal channel for maybe an investor to have a look at, or an analyst to have a look at when it's relevant. So another use case we also have on our website is for a media company, for instance, that wants to monitor a lot of sources to see if there's any relevant content being posted that they have not posted themselves. And we're not generating a newsletter for them in the end, but just a Slack message. That's the communication platform they use. But we do some research online or let AI do it. And then when it's relevant, when it's above a certain threshold, at least when the AI thinks it's above a certain threshold, they get a message. So not for every post that's done online, but only when it's relevant. So multiple use cases there. But to continue with this, I think it ends in sending either the free and the premium newsletter. That's the end, right?
Yeah. Maybe you can share an example of a newsletter, the actual output.
Yeah. So have it open over here.
This one is of last week.
12th November.
Yeah. Again, this one is in Dutch, as you can see, but the first section, introduction, is written by AI, and then this summary of the topics, and then below the line is where we have the 5 free articles based on the RSS feeds. And then we have the premium articles and deep dives. And this is all based on input given by us. So we show this flow where to do research for, which articles to read, but then it writes the content itself automatically.
Yeah, and we're now busy converting this to an English newsletter as well, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because it's quite easy to ask AI to also write this newsletter in English, and then we can send English subscribers the English version. But maybe it's also fun to show the LinkedIn flow linked to this newsletter flow.
So you can see over here, we split up in different kinds of flow. So here we generate the newsletter flow, but at the same time, we're also creating LinkedIn posts to share more or less the same content, right?
Yeah. So that triggers another flow. So this flow is triggered when the newsletter content is generated. And this newsletter content is then sent to this flow. And where you see the write post section, we again have a large language model linked with a prompt linked to it to write the article, the LinkedIn post. This LinkedIn post is then handed over to another large language model to write a prompt for generating an image. So based on the content of the LinkedIn post, we ask another large language model to write a prompt that is then used with OpenAI, with DALL-E, to generate an image. So if you zoom in a bit, Bas, it's a bit small.
Yeah.
Then we have the step generate image. So this step gets the prompt from the previous step and then generates an image. And then the next step, the check image step, is where we check the output generated by DALL-E to see if it's appropriate for sharing on LinkedIn or not. So the only thing this step does, it says true or false. Output is false, the flow stops. So no LinkedIn post is created to make sure that we don't post stuff online we don't want to. If you close this one, we then, so where if appropriate, that's the step where we check if it's okay or not. And then we post these LinkedIn posts to different accounts. So we generate 4 LinkedIn posts, 4 unique posts, 1 for our company profile and 3 for our individual LinkedIn profiles. So each post has the same topic, but a different setup in terms of words.
Yeah, and I think in terms of improvements to maximize the marketing value, I would say maybe we put some delays in here that we don't have 4 posts in one go, but over the next week or so where we don't send a newsletter, that we let people know what the latest news is here. That would be nice. Or maybe also the language aspect. Did we create an English or a Dutch post from this school?
For now, it's still in Dutch. Yeah. If you go to the left to the right post section, right LinkedIn post. If you open this one, it's maybe fun. If you can you zoom in a bit on the prompt? It's not getting bigger that much, but here you see write a post in Dutch, keep the post under 200 words, use emojis, use bullet points to organize IDs. So these are the rules we give to the large language model. It uses for writing the actual LinkedIn post.
If we would change this to English, everything would be in English, right?
Yeah,
instantly.
That's that easy.
Yeah, so I think another great example of N8n and how to use AI.
Yeah.
Maybe to end with, Koen, if people would like to do this themselves, where should they start? Like we learned N8n in maybe a couple weeks because we were experienced, but if you would start with this as a new maybe a business analyst working somewhere, what would be a good starting point?
For learning N8n or for building this flow?
Both.
Both, because I think you need to start simple, because this, especially the newsletter flow, is quite big, and I spent quite some hours on it, optimizing it. But I think if you start with, for example, only the first part of the newsletter flow. So this the RSS feed reader. If you only make a flow that takes in these RSS feeds, gets the content, and then writes an article about it, I think that would be a first step in building such a flow.
Yeah.
Because if you start too big, then you have too many points of failure in your flow, and then it's really hard to make it work. That takes a lot of time. So I think the best advice is to keep it simple and small in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The social posting tool is, for example, also like an add-on on our own workflow, right? We first started with the newsletter, which is the most complicated one because we were already a little bit experienced. But after that, you get so many more ideas. Like now the social poster, we might do something on our own Slack as well to keep all the developers up to date on the latest trends. We now, that makes me think. We have a channel to share trends with each other. It would be nice to if our bot would post in there. Yeah. So anything more to add, Koen, to this episode? I think we gave a nice.
Well, I think it shows the power of AI and especially large language models in creating content, valuable content. So we as AI consultants give the input on where to focus on, the articles, the topics, the websites, and then AI is a really powerful tool for doing research and then writing relevant articles in the right tone of voice, right structure. And then we use N8n as a workflow tool where we can automate this process and send the emails, which is just an automation.
Or maybe enrich your systems. Like if you have a CRM, you could use the same workflow more or less to enrich your customer profiles or segment your customer profiles or do a risk assessment of a certain industry or customer automatically by AI. It's usable for so many things. But maybe we'll do that ourselves later. We don't have an unlimited amount of time, but
another episode.
Yeah, another episode.
Maybe we can do a live build.
A live build, that would be cool. That would be cool. But we need more subscribers, I think, for that. So maybe that's a good note to end with. So if you like this demo, let us know in the comments and like our video, subscribe to our channel. Helps us keep being motivated. And that's it for now.
Cool. See you next week.
Yeah. Thanks again, Koen.
Yes, you too.